Hello, and welcome to the Kitty Cat Lane. My name is Lane, and today I'm going to draw some cute witches. Originally, I was going to draw 3 full-body drawings of the witches, but after doing a few warm-up sketches, I just wasn't really feeling up to doing that. Instead, I decided to draw 3 headshots, or busts from the shoulders up, so that I could focus on the faces and hats of the witches. I thought drawing each witch with a theme would be fun, and I could base their hats and magic off of their special interests. So for the first character, I had pictured a space or astrology-themed witch. I thought she could have little sun, moon, planet, and star-shaped charms dangling off the brim of her hat, with rings that circled around the cone of the hat. I really liked the idea of giving her rings everywhere I could as a nod to planetary rings, so I also gave her locks some cuff ring accessories, and gave her a nose ring. I could have given her more rings for earrings, but something about her made me think she wouldn't have pierced ears. I don't know, it just didn't feel right. I decided to sketch all 3 witches out together before outlining and coloring them. That way I can compare them and not accidentally reuse an idea or color palette. What can I say? I know what I like, and I am quick to default to my go-tos. But in all seriousness, I wanted to give them all different hats since there are so many different types of witch hats. I mean, why do 3 of the same hats when I could make them all vastly different and extremely personalized to the point where they are more interesting and thought out than the personality of the characters? So anyway, for the next character, I wanted to give her a bug theme. As I started to draw her, I thought she might look cool with gauges. As I pictured it, I was like, okay, but what if they were big gauges that gave her ears like a butterfly wing shape? It's subtle, but I really liked the thought. The next thing that came to mind was finding a way to give her antennas. So I have her bangs styled to stick up and droop over to mimic the look of antenna. The rest of her hair took some time for me to settle on because I wanted to give her pigtails that looked kind of like wings, but I ended up ditching them because I realized they'd be covered up by the hat anyway. I gave her long eyelashes that made me think of bug legs, and big glasses that nod to the big eyes that some bugs have. For her hat, I actually kept it relatively simple. I thought that it would be cute for her to have a smaller witch hat that's been modified to look like a beekeeper/outdoorsy hat. I gave it a veil and added little spiders and a spiderweb design at the top. Lastly, I pictured the third witch being more of a druid and having lots of mushrooms, vines, and moss on her hat. I gave her long flowing hair and a big floppier hat. I added vines that weave through her hair and a vine tattoo that follows along the base of her neck. Her hat was probably the funnest thing to draw and later render. I drew some shelf fungus climbing up her hat, and other mushrooms along the brim and the top of the hat. I also gave her a little snail friend and some moss and vines that drip over the edges. As I'm drawing the line art, I also gave her some shelf fungus freckled across her cheeks. Speaking of line art, I noticed that I like drawing with thicker line art because I like using really textured brushes. That's great and all, but whenever I draw smaller drawings, unless I use thinner line art, the thickness of the brush takes up so much of the drawing that I don't have enough room for all the pretty little details that I want to add. But the smaller I make the brushes, the less texture and detail you can see in the brush and the line art. It's a balancing act, and honestly one of the reasons that I just ended up drawing headshots for this. I bet if I made the canvas bigger it would help, but that means taking up more space on my computer. So, yeah. But hey, now it's time to color. I told myself that I was going to limit the color palette of each character to 3 colors. Each color can have various shades and hues as long as it's around the same color. And one of the colors for each character is the skin tone and fleshy colors. So technically, I only get 2 colors to use for the outfits, accessories, and unnatural hair colors. I find myself sometimes subconsciously doing this too, where I know I don't want to overcomplicate the design, or at least try not to make it too overwhelming in color. So when I get to the outfits and stuff, I'll pick a primary color and an accent color, and generally just stick with that. So I picked purple and gold for the 2 complementary colors for the first character. I knew I could make her charms and accessories gold and have the base of the hat and robe be purple. As you can see, I started by coloring the skin and hair, and when I went to render the skin, I was like, what if she had gold glittery highlights? She could be glowing and shining like the stars that she loves. And then I was like, no. What if it's actually magical stardust? Boom. I'm a genius. She's beautiful and is literally glistening with magic. What more could you ask for? A lot more, actually. She still needs a cool, colorful outfit. So I added that dark royal looking purple and gave it some golden stardust as well. Then I colored the rest of the golden charms and accessories. I did my best to make them metallic and shiny. So pretty. Next up, I was going to color the second character, but I decided to skip ahead to the Mushroom Witch because I was just so excited to color that. I decided that I'd be using earthy colors, but making them a little more vibrant instead of muted. So after I colored her skin, I gave her orange-reddish hair. I wasn't sure if I wanted to make the hat brown or not, but I ultimately decided to go with a green that had some muddied orange colors in it. I picked orange for the hair because I thought that I could make the mushrooms some variations of orange and tan to stand out from the green hat, and look natural still. I even gave the moss some orange little hairs, just like some of the moss that I've seen in real life. Oh yeah, it's all coming together. I really liked the idea of her allowing the mushrooms to grow off of her as a host, and in return she is able to magically use their spores to grow mushrooms at her will. The implications for what she can do with these spores are not exactly limitless, but I don't know, I feel like she could do some cool things. Maybe she starts the zombie apocalypse with that one mushroom. Spooky. With the red hair and plants, as I was coloring her, she kind of reminded me of the DC character Poison Ivy, but I think my witch still stands apart from Ivy as her own character. Now back to my buggy witch. I just knew I wanted her to have light green hair, so once I got her skin colored, I went ahead and gave her some green lipstick and highlights. Now, I'll be honest. When it's this bright or light green, I'm a sucker for green and purple, or green and pink. Have you seen my persona? And at this point, I'm about ready to wrap up the art, so what do? I let the intrusive thoughts win and make her pink and green. There's not too much more to it than that. I mess around with the glass of her glasses and try to get the veil to look how I want it without making the witch's skin look super pink. I originally wanted the veil to be pink, but I ended up darkening it quite a bit later. And that about does it. Let me know what you think of these characters and if you'd like to see any more witches before Halloween is here. Thank you all so very much for taking a walk down the kitty cat lane with me, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And here's the secret kitty of the day.